Warm welcome. We are taking a moment to introduce you to ourselves and to this program, and we are so happy you're here. We want to start with a welcome, and this comes from the work of a farm in California called Can to Sell Farms. So we welcome you. We welcome each of you in the many countries and rich cultures represented here. We welcome those of you of African descent, of Asian descent, of European descent, of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit descent in this land and abroad, and people of mixed and multiple descents. We welcome people of all economic backgrounds and current situations. We welcome your bodies of all sizes, abilities, and challenges, whether visible or invisible. We welcome those of you who are new to trainings like this and those with a great deal of related experience. We welcome all ages, from the young adults to the elders. We welcome all faith traditions, those who identify as spiritual or as mindfulness practitioners, and all the guiding beliefs on how to live our lives. We welcome all the languages we bring here and the many ways we speak English. We welcome people of all genders, including people who identify as transgender, non-binary, genderqueer, and everyone for whom those labels don't apply. We welcome all sexual orientations, whether queer or straight, partnered, polyamorous, or asexual. We welcome each of you in all the rich complexity of your identity, including some dimensions we haven't mentioned. We honor each of you in this work we are undertaking, and we say welcome. So on behalf of the facilitators here, we welcome you, and I get the honor of beginning by introducing myself in the module I'll be sharing. Before that, I feel the first most important thing is to acknowledge this land I'm on. I'm a guest here. My ancestors are originally from Ireland, and I'm currently on Anishinaabe territory, also known as the Peoples of the Three Fires, so the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi First Nations. So, my name is Sarah Kinsley, and I've had the honor over the years of working with these wonderful co-facilitators, and I'm offering a trauma-informed mindfulness modality. So looking at how we can offer mindfulness practices in a trauma-informed way. And this work stems from my work as an individual and group therapist. I practice somatic experiencing therapy and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. And I also work a lot with folks who are looking to have a healthier relationship with eating. On the side, I love to share yoga and educate folks at the University of Toronto Mindfulness Program. So when you get to my module, or my section, you will see there are 6 modules, and each module includes theory and practice. And the reason I wanted to include this in this training is because I felt that mindfulness had kind of become a catch-all or a panacea for everyone at all times. And as many of us may know, that is not always ethical or safe for people. So how do we take these practices that stem mostly in my experience from Buddhism and yoga and various First Nations practices and teachings? How do we take this and make it more trauma-informed so it's safer and more accessible? And also, how do we look at times when it might not be the best practice for people? So you'll see through each module, there's practices, there's psychoeducation, there's theory, and we'll start with orienting and grounding, and we move through various practices, everything from mindful walking to qigong to gratitude body scans, and then moving into, how do we take this off the mat or off the cushion or off the chair, and moving into those heart-based practices. So self-compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, equanimity. And lastly, I felt it was important in the last module to bring in the planet and how we can use these practices to connect and to support the health of the planet right now, and recognizing it's all interconnected. We are all sacred ground, as it's said. So to close there, you'll see that my work is based off the types of therapy I practice, and also my connection with True North Insight, which is a Theravada Buddhist community where I'm a community Dharma teacher, a community meditation teacher. And I feel it's important in the modules I share to also include the neuroscience of why we're doing what we're doing. So I look forward to connecting with you more, and welcome again, and I will pass it over to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. Warm welcome. I'd like to acknowledge and honor that I am here on Treaty 7 territory, traditional Treaty 7 territory. My name is Lydia Zamorano, and I am offering the Tensegrity repair series as my component to this training. A little bit about me: I have been on this journey of facilitating yoga for almost 25 years. I've been a dedicated practitioner for that whole time, and I started my journey as a yoga teacher of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, and I also practiced many Iyengar-based practices with teachers for over a decade. And I started to be curious about two components: a deeper awareness of the body, and also I was really curious about communicating with participants in a different way that could create more intimacy in my facilitation practice, and also connection to my own personal practice when I was communicating with facilitators in both of those methods. So I started to feel like, oh, there's some missing pieces for me. So on that journey, I started to work with a teacher. I took a 3-year training with a teacher named Joy Irwin, who was really interested in fascia. So the connective tissue framework that runs through all of your body, encapsulates your muscles, your bones, is really intelligent, has a lot of nerve tissue firing through it. And my teacher, Joya, was really generous with offering this 3-year program that let me examine closely fascia and the Biotensegrity series, which is the series that I'm offering in this course. So this series is a little unlike traditional yoga asanas. It's maybe a little more like somatic work. It's a supine series where you're mostly lying down for it, and it's full of oscillating movements. So there's a lot of rocking movement to the series. The whole idea with the series is it's aimed to detangle the fascia, so places in the connective tissue that have adhesions, they're stuck together. Maybe they need to move a little bit more, or they need hydration, or there needs to be a little bit of redistribution, of tension in the system for us to come into a little bit more balance. It's accessible to everyone. And why does this series, as you start to explore it, fit into trauma-informed practice? And one of the things is that there's no end point to the forms. So the forms are continual. And so there's like a little less performance anxiety with the forms. There's a little less expectation. And maybe there's a little more of this opportunity to drop into the present moment, into your own personal experience, which for me, on my journey with asana, I was really looking for something like that. I mean, I could have a moving meditation in all of the practices, but this was just like a slightly easier way for me to get there. So I'm curious what you think about it. Also, it's creating rhythms, and that's a big component to trauma-informed practice, is to create these rhythms in the body. And the rhythms could be soothing, they could be deeply restorative. And these rhythms in the Tensegrity series are also quite strengthening. So I often call this series sneaky strength, because for many of us, it can feel pretty relaxing, but there's this component of really connecting to the deep front line of fascia. That's this intrinsic core strength. So when we think about trauma-informed practice and we're thinking about creating a space where individuals can empower themselves, this practice can physically empower us by connecting to that deep space. And I think with that, I'd love to hear from you on your journey with this. It's a little bit unique if you've done somatic movement. It's a little more like somatic movement. And I look forward to being alongside with you on this journey. And I'll pass it on to my colleague, Nikki.
Mm, thank you. I just want to take a moment to celebrate you both and how beautiful your practices both are and what it's contributed to how it's contributed to my journey. Hi, folks. I go by Nicola or Nikki, and I'm based on Treaty 7 territory as well, where the Stoney Nakoda and the Blackfoot Confederacy have been for many, many generations. The Blackfoot Confederacy, made up of the Piikani, Siksika, Tsuut'ina, and Kainai nations. It's also Métis Region 3. Also a place known as the Bow Valley or Canmore on the edge of Banff National Park. Beautiful place. Um, I was originally born and raised in South Africa during apartheid, and I like to share that because those formative years really inform my commitment to a trauma informed lens and providing further education on it and creating spaces where there's choice, curiosity, discovery. Having lived in a system where there's an extreme difference in power dynamics. Um, I came to do my master's in social work in 2011 as a yoga teacher, yoga facilitator, with the question, holding curiosity around how might a yoga practice be contribute to social change? Because I was noticing no matter what kind of space I was offering a practice in, people are having common experiences. Um, I have a background in practicing in my own journey, vinyasa, hatha, Mysore, Ashtanga, and I brought my curiosity to this master's program by reading the book Overcoming Trauma Through Yoga, written by David Emerson. And with that, reached out to him and had an opportunity during my master's to do a 4-month internship with him and study in Boston. And from that time in 2014, I began facilitating this modality through a 20-hour foundational training, which is what's embedded in this offering here. I'm also a mentor in the 300-hour certification. And I have this offering here with these two amazing colleagues of mine. Um, I have offered this practice in many different spaces. An addiction treatment facility for young men. I've taught in high schools with youth and adolescents. I've had public classes as well. And I also have a private practice, private counseling practice, where I do this work one on one with folks, integrating it with somatic experiencing as well. So different context to learn from those I've served. That's where so much of the learning has taken place. And this modality, I would say it's where you'll see the trauma informed lens showing up a lot. It's kind of using TCTSY as a modality to support you to develop your trauma informed lens. So, what you can expect is to walk away with a trauma informed lens, but not be able to teach or facilitate trauma centered, trauma sensitive yoga. It's a practice where you get to pull what resonates for you, what feels authentic in your practice, and how it lands in these other modalities and practices. It's quite a refined and sophisticated practice that's considered actually a clinical treatment for trauma. And so it's also an evidence-based practice, which makes it, or if I'm going to rewind for a moment, it's actually the original trauma sensitive yoga. And so it's evidence-based because it has a lot of robust research behind it. That then informs a lot of, I would say, other trauma sensitive, trauma informed trainings. Um, and in this modality, you'll have the opportunity to ultimately learn about power and power dynamics, how choice and language can be strong components to support people on a journey of discovery, um, as well as how to cue people through choice, how to cue folks to be in inquiry with their own body, to foster their interoceptive pathways and capacity, You'll gain a better understanding of how being exposed to long-term adversity, which can contribute to complex trauma, how that might impact one's body and one's nervous system, and how rebuilding or refostering relationship with sensations in someone's body or fostering a relationship with choice making can support access to empowerment and contribute to fostering a relationship that might be different with one's body and with choice. So I encourage you as you go through this practice to really make it yours. And a great starting place can be engaging with the embodiment practices and seeing what it feels like in your own body to engage in this practice, and then intersect that with the content and the material as well. So that's where I'm going to leave it in that modality, and invite the next threads in.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm just reflecting also on how lucky I am to work alongside and learn alongside Sarah and Nikki and all that they offer. So those are our three main modalities that each of us are offering in the training. And then we thought it was important to bring in two more. And Sarah and I work with each other to offer the yogic ethics. So if you might not know this, but the practice of yoga has 8 limbs to it. And in the West, maybe we see up to 3 of them a little more commonly. But those 8 limbs involve yama, which are ethics, niyama, which are observances, asana, which we see as the form, which we work with in the embodiment. Pranayama is breath work. Pratyahara is choosing where we place our senses. Dharana is concentration, bringing our focus onto one thing. Dhyana is opening that, so seeing the forest behind the trees. And samadhi is absorption. So when maybe the self that we've constructed sort of falls away and we become one with our environment, we experience interconnectedness. So we decided to bring in the first 2 of those limbs. That's the ethics. So the yamas and the niyamas, there are 5 of each. And we thought they could be valuable guides on how we interact with ourselves and others, which is such a big part of trauma-informed practice, and also a way to honor where these practices came from and the real juice to the practices that take us off the mat and into the world, which is really what we're bringing to light in this program. Each time we come back to these, for myself, and I'm sure for both my colleagues, we find something new. So something else is lit up in our awareness. And dare I say that they're really fun. They're really fun to work with, and they're really interesting, and they've got a lot of zhuzh. So I hope you enjoy them as much as we do. And I think that these practices can provide a profound framework for knowing ourselves more deeply. So just coming back to what Nikki was saying is really making this yours. And I'll pass it back to her.
Thanks, Liz. I also spent some time focusing on a 5th modality, and I would say that this is what makes our training so unique from other trainings, other offerings, and that's placing some emphasis on the land and getting to know and fostering one's relationship with the land, the earth that sustains our lives from a trauma-informed space. So in each module, there's a land-based inquiry that invites you into the relationship with place and with the wild others. And if for some reason you don't have access to the outdoors, that's okay. You can access wild elements in your home through fire, through water, through stone. So that's okay too. And through the years of educating folks on trauma-informed practice, I've come to realize that ultimately it's a conversation about power dynamics and how to consider being in relationship authentically to support someone else to feel seen. And so, what if we consider that the other, the someone else, is the earth and the wild others? And so, in these inquiries, we're exploring power dynamics that might be with the earth, or how to be in relationship with the place so there's a shared dynamic. How might we integrate a trauma-informed lens while relating to this beautiful planet that sustains our life? So a starting point is I would say, an inquiry into a deeper listening, maybe listening from a different place. And there's guided practices throughout that will be available to you. Yeah.
Thank you both. I also just want to give a shout out for how lucky I am to learn from both of you. And I do really feel we're a good team, and we're excited for you to explore these 5 modules. As Nikki will explain in a moment, the history of this program and how we got here to an on-demand recorded course, we have taught this live over the years. And part of that live training was we felt it was important to include an option for folks that wanted to take this practice into their communities, into their families, share it with their friends, etc. And it's kind of goes back to the name. So trauma informed practice on and off the mat. Trauma doesn't just impact individuals. Trauma also impacts communities, and therefore how we heal from trauma and the impacts of trauma cannot, in my opinion, just be at an individual level, but also collectively. And so part of this idea was looking at how do we invite participants in past programs to take this off the cushion, off the mat. And one option that we've included in this training is you might want to engage in what we call the Keystone Project. So some of you might be familiar with this term keystone, but from my understanding, it's the stone in like the middle of an arch or in the middle of a structure that holds it together. So as you're exploring these 5 modalities and practicing and listening and perhaps sharing with others, we invite you to think about how you might take that off the cushion, off the mat, and share this, see how that pebble ripples out. And in the past years, we've had folks that have created art installations outdoors, lots of different visual arts, poetry, people who have offered workshops and volunteered in different community organizations, people who have facilitated parts of the program to others at workplace or in their community. And we wanted to keep that going because we feel, I think I can speak for all 3 of us, that we feel it's really important that this is shared and hopefully helpful for others to reduce suffering individually and collectively. And so you'll see in the Start Here folder, there's a short PowerPoint presentation about just a little history on what a Keystone Project is, some examples. And we invite you during our live hours together, if you choose to come, to share with us what you're doing as far as a Keystone offering or project. And if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to email us, and we can explain further our idea behind that, including this important project as part of the training. Thank you.
I kind of see the keystone as like part of collective care. You might orient it in that way. Yeah. So each time you review the material for each of these modalities, we suspect that you'll hopefully see how a trauma-informed lens weaves throughout all the content in this training, all aspects of this training, which hopefully gives you lots of opportunity to practice listening, which then hopefully supports you bringing this into the world and practicing how you want to be in relationship with your own offerings with a trauma-informed lens. This modality originally, the vision for this kind of formed around 2018. So it's been a while. And it was an idea of, okay, how do we bring a trauma-informed practice to humans, this relational practice? But also what makes this product unique, or this training unique, is how to bring a trauma-informed lens to the land and to the wild others, especially given what we're navigating as a human collective. So we can bring it beyond just humans, trauma-informed practice between humans and between humans and systems. So when we came together, all of us were looking at yoga teacher trainings and seeing some possible gaps in teacher trainings, and we wanted to create something that was a continuing education opportunity or a professional development opportunity, not only for yoga folks who are facilitating yoga, but also for folks who are in other professional roles where this might be useful, because we've had a number of folks access this training from different professional backgrounds. And in 2020, we spent a year planning and building this, which is why we really want to get this out to you. And in 2021, in the fall, we had our first cohort, and we've been running it annually for 3 years, making these videos over time, and had different iterations of the training in response to participants' requests and in response to our ever-changing lives and the new shapes that our lives are taking. So we actually took 1 year off and tended to other projects. One project being running a retreat together, a live retreat in a gorgeous location, which might happen in the future again. And we were also wondering about how do we want to bring this material to the world, given the changing shapes of our lives now. And so we decided to offer this self-paced opportunity. And when I think about a trauma-informed class, I always place emphasis of engaging with choice at your own pace, engaging with the practice at your own choice. So I kind of see the self-paced offering as a trauma-informed way to engage with it at your own pace, at the pace of your nervous system and the pace of your life, and bringing your commitment when you're ready. So the other thing to consider is we wanted to have this as a self-paced offering because it's so much more accessible financially. It's actually a quarter of the original price when we were doing it live with folks. So we really wanted to reduce the rate. And the only thing that's changed in this offering is the live component. So you're getting all the original content. And it's made in Canada by Canadian practitioners, which we're pretty excited about. So what is self-paced, you might be wondering. When you register, you get this bundle of content. All the modules are listed in order of engagement, module 1 through 6, and then the content in the module is all within order as well to support your flow. You'll have access to a YouTube where we're going to continue to upload practices and content that you'll have access to and be able to comment on, to share with friends and community as well. And I want to name that all the content is scaffolded. So it does build on top of one another. So doing it in order is our strongest recommendation. There's some material that'll be downloadable, and there's some material that you'll need to watch and remain on the Offering Tree site to view. And you're going to have access to this material for a year from the day of your registration, which we thought was enough time for a self-paced process. And we're really excited to support you through this journey. And so what we're going to offer is 3 live consultation sessions where we'll all be available for a period of 45 minutes. And that's going to take place, that year-long container is going to start November 1st and go annually starting November 1st. And those dates for those live sessions will be available in a document in the module being offered. So we're grateful that you're here and trusting us in this process. It's a pleasure.
And thank you from all of us. We are, again, just want to say that we welcome you, all of you, so warmly to this program, and we are excited to see this journey unfold for you. Here's the email right here that you can contact us at any time for any of your questions during your practices, during your inquiry. And if you run a teacher training yourself, or you are involved in a teacher training and you feel that there's these missing pieces, please reach out to us. We would love to spread this work as much as we can. So stay in touch.